my channel where I share my money journey, and then also I do have a website where I share different tools to help get your money on track as well. So today I'm just going to be sharing with you all how much daycare costs in 2023. And then also I'm going to be sharing with you all some tax benefits that I found with, of course, paying for daycare. So we decided to put our child in daycare last year, and it's quite expensive. And so I just wanted to share with you all so you can be prepared for how much you may have to pay with child care as well. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. All right, so first off, daycare costs about $280 per week. So that was quite expensive. So the daycare actually was telling me that people who were now enrolling was paying a higher amount. And so we were just grandfathered in at this price. So yeah, $280 per week. That's how much it costs. All right, so I wanted to tell you all about a tax advantaged account, I suppose. So this is an employer-sponsored flexible spending account. This is an article explaining what it is, and I'll leave a link in the description. So I signed up for my job to take money out of each paycheck. Because we were married, the most that we could do for the employer-sponsored FSA was just $5,000 for the year of 2022. So what that ended up being was about $200 per month that we ended up putting into this flexible spending account. So in order for me to get reimbursed, what will happen is I would pay for daycare, and then I'll get a form from my job and take it to the daycare, and they'll just fill it out and say how much it was and how much I paid in daycare, and then I would take it back to my job, and my job would just reimburse me on my next paycheck. So with this, of course, it's just a tax deduction, right, with the flexible spending account. So when I receive my tax forms, it will say that this amount went towards this. It's a pre-tax tax deduction. And also, let me just go ahead and say I am not a CPA. I am not a tax advisor in any way. So please speak with your tax advisor when you're considering this. So also, while I was making this video, I learned about the child independent care tax credit. And this screenshot here is just a link from the IRS where they explain what it is. And I'll leave that in the description as well so you can check it out. But pretty much from my understanding of this, what it says is that you can get a tax credit, which is depending upon how many children you have, and it's also depending upon what your income is, right? And so it looks like for me, for example, it was $3,000 is the tax credit that we could receive for the child independent care that we had to pay because we only have one child. This is another article that I found helpful, and I think it will be helpful for you all. All right, so this is just explaining the difference between a tax deduction and a tax credit. As far as a tax deduction is just deducting the amount that can be taxable. And a tax credit is actually applying that amount towards your tax bill directly. So I found this on TurboTax, and I'll leave a link in the description for this as well. So real quick, I just wanted to give you all an example to break it down even further. And this is actually using my numbers, like an estimate of my numbers. So here it is. So in 2022, our child care expenses were $9,500. We actually started our daughter in daycare around March or April, so that's why it doesn't seem like a full amount of us paying $280 per week for the full year. So for us, our federal tax bracket is 12%. And also, I told you all that our income isn't the highest. I've actually made a video about your financial strategy versus your income because it's the way that our strategy with building wealth. I feel like people started to think that we had a higher income, which we do not have that high of an income. Like, we're still in the 12% tax bracket, and it's all about just making sure you put your money in the right places. And I made a video about that, so I will leave that down in the description. So pretty much for me, my FSA contribution was $5,000. Once again, that's because we were married. We were able to contribute that much for the FSA. So what that ended up saving us is $600 because $5,000 of that was tax deductible, which means that's $5,000 less that we can be taxed on at that 12% rate. So that ended up saving us $600. So with the tax credit. So with our child care expense being $9,500, and let's just say worst case scenario, we will only be able to qualify for the tax credit and only doing 20% of our total expense for childcare, then we would have saved about $1,900. But once again, I did not learn about this until I started making this video for you all, and then I was like, dang. And I hope you all can actually take advantage of this in the way that benefits you more. Like I always say, I don't believe one financial strategy works for everyone. Like, you have to consider your personal situation. Everyone's income isn't the same, because that would have put you in a different tax bracket, or maybe that could have helped you save more money in that manner. Also, the amount of children. Everybody don't have the same amount of children. I only have one child. So I could only, for this tax credit, the most I could claim is $3,000, compared to someone with more children, then maybe they'll be able to do $6,000, right? So you definitely need to speak to your tax advisor or your CPA. Also, I was going to say, for my understanding of this as well, you can use both of these with our child care expenses being $9,500. So you just can't use both for the same expenses, the same exact expenses. So what we would have to do is like $5,000 we did FSA, then the other amount can be for the tax credit. The $4,500 we could try to apply towards the tax credit. So that's from my understanding, but once again, speak to your tax advisor about it. But yeah, so if I could do this differently, what I would have ended up doing is, of course, applying as much as possible for the tax credit so I can receive that full amount, and then the leftover amount would go to the FSA. But yeah, it's okay. I wasn't able to do it, but I'll know better next time. But yeah, so I just wanted to share this with you all so you all could be prepared for how much childcare may possibly cost, or, take advantage of some of these tax benefits with childcare. All right, so I hope this was helpful. Don't forget to go check out my website, and thank you for watching. See y'all soon.